Hi everyone, my name is Carrie. This is the story of how I got rid of my horrible mother-in-law. To be honest, I'm not the only reason she was kicked out of our home. It was really her own behavior that got her thrown out. She almost got into trouble with the police if I hadn't stepped in to handle things. My mother-in-law, Elena, is a very difficult person. She doesn't like other women around her. Unfortunately for her, she had a daughter right after her son. To make things worse for her, her son Keith married me, an ambitious woman, despite her objections. From the start, Elena was rude and judgmental towards me. Keith and I met through a dating app, which Elena found scandalous. She said, "Why did you pick a woman from a dating app? Women like that usually cheat on their partners." Keith responded, "Mom, what's wrong with you? You can't say that about Carrie. She's a sweet girl and doesn't deserve your hate." I told Elena, "I'm not going to cheat on Keith. I love him, and we're thinking about getting engaged soon." Elena replied, "Oh my God, Keith, is this true?" Keith said, "Yes, Mom. I'm planning to propose soon. Carrie knows it's coming, but the rest is a surprise." Elena was furious. "She must be after your money, Keith. Why else would she want to marry you so quickly? This girl is not good for you." I said, "I'm not a gold digger, Elena. I earn a lot more than Keith right now. My job pays well, so I'll be financially secure for the rest of my life." That only made things worse. Elena became even more hostile after she found out I earned more. She often criticized me and suggested I'd be a bad wife because I worked. She thought working women were neglectful and disloyal. I couldn't understand why she always found something to complain about. So, I decided to talk to Keith's sister, Maxine. I said, "Maxine, I don't know why your mom hates me so much. No matter what I do, she always finds something to complain about." Maxine said, "Mom is like that, Carrie. She thinks girls are either gold diggers or worthless. It's crazy that she thinks that way, being a woman herself. She didn't even spare me. Mom neglected me and didn't help with my college expenses, but she paid in full for Keith." Keith said, "Maxine, you don't need to make Mom sound so bad. Yes, you had issues with her, but that doesn't mean she hates women." Maxine replied, "You've always been blind to her behavior, Keith. She was a good mom to you and spoiled you. You didn't see how she treated me." I added, "Keith, I think Maxine has a point. I wasn't there when you were teenagers, but I see how Elena is now. She dismisses Maxine's achievements all the time." Maxine said, "There's no point defending me, Carrie. Keith has always been biased about Mom. Watch out, Carrie. If Mom turns on you, Keith might take her side instead." Maxine and Keith started arguing about Elena's favoritism. It became clear to me that Keith was a bit blinded by his mother's loving behavior towards him. She was a very toxic woman, and I hated being around her. Maxine's words stayed with me. After Keith and I got married, I realized she was right. We should have started our married life as a couple, but Keith brought Elena along. When we announced our engagement, Elena quit her job and demanded we take care of her. She said she was getting old and needed us to look after her. Although I never liked her, I didn't say no because Keith wanted to take care of his mom. I had lost my parents in college, so I didn't have the heart to turn him down. Elena moved in with us and quickly became a nightmare. She constantly ordered me around and did nothing all day. When I came home from work, she'd say, "What took you so long, Carrie? Have you forgotten you're a married woman? There are plenty of chores left. Who will do everything?" "Elena, I had a late meeting and couldn't get home sooner. I can't leave work unfinished. And what about the work at home? Do you expect me to act like your servant? I will do everything now, and Keith will help out. It doesn't take long when two people work together," she said. Keith tried to defend me. "Mom, you don't have to shout at her. We will do everything together." "Absolutely not, Keith. Men don't do house chores. Your father never helped me. This is Carrie's job. If she can't balance work and house chores, she needs to leave her job or get a divorce." That's my mother-in-law for you. She hated everything I did and probably hated my very existence. Whenever I tried to talk to Keith about her, he'd shut me down. "Mom is old and has conservative ideas. You don't have to take her seriously. She means no harm." Are you kidding me, Keith? You're not the one on the receiving end of her insults. It's humiliating and exhausting. I can't take her words anymore. "Relax, you're overreacting. Mom can be cranky sometimes. I'll try to talk to her about her behavior. You have to be patient with her." Maxine was right. Keith rarely took my side. Yes, he did defend me sometimes, but mostly, he asked me to compromise. I was getting tired of his behavior. What made it worse was that I was paying a huge chunk of the household expenses because Keith was supporting Elena with his small salary. I felt disrespected and humiliated despite doing so much for Elena. The worst of Elena's behavior was yet to come. A little over a year after we got married, both Keith and I found job opportunities that would significantly increase our pay. We both got shortlisted and had to go through an interview process. Unfortunately, Keith's interview was delayed, but mine was scheduled soon. Elena hated this and said, "Carrie, you can't be thinking of taking that job. You don't need to go to the interview." Why wouldn't I take the job? It would raise my salary and be my dream job. You are a married woman, Carrie. You can't think about your job all the time. If you get the job, you'll earn more than Keith. How can you even think of earning more than your husband? That's so disrespectful. Mom, that's ridiculous. I'm proud of Carrie for getting such an amazing offer. I want her to get the job. This is her dream job. I don't care if she earns more than me, Keith said. Don't be so naive, Keith. She will start to financially abuse you, lose respect for you, and try to get rid of me. Don't let her go to the interview. I'm not stopping her, Mom. I don't mind all these things. You're overreacting. Leave her be. Elena, I've had enough of you treating me like this. It can't happen again. What I do with my life is none of your business. You don't have the right to comment on it. Elena never backed down. She tried everything to dissuade me from attending the interview, even saying I should support Keith because he couldn't interview for his job. By the time my interview date approached, I was very careful. I knew Elena would try to mess things up. On the day of the interview, I saw Elena walk into her study right after I left the room with my CV. I thought nothing of it, excited for my interview, and that Keith had finally gotten a call for his interview on the same day. He didn't tell Elena because he wanted it to be a surprise when he got the job. However, things came crashing down when I came home. Keith looked very sad. Keith, what's wrong? Did something happen at the interview? Carrie, I didn't get the job. Just look at my CV. They took one look and rejected me. What are you talking about, Keith? You have the perfect CV. There's no way they weren't impressed. Keith handed me his CV, and I was shocked. It wasn't his CV at all. It had my name and gender, but was full of false information that painted me in a bad light. I had no idea who made it or how it got mixed with Keith's CV. I could see why it created a bad impression and led to rejection. Keith was devastated. I don't understand this, Carrie. How did this happen? This isn't your CV either. It has awful things written on it. It can't be that I took yours instead. No, you didn't take mine, Keith. I had the original CV for the interview. That's how I got the job. If I had taken the one you have, they would have never given me the job. This is so bizarre, Carrie. I'm devastated that I lost my job because of this. I need to know how this happened. It's killing me. Seeing Keith in this state crushed me. He was looking forward to the job, and it pained him to lose it. I was confused about the fake CV Keith had. Then it clicked. It must have been Elena who switched the CVs. She had no idea Keith had an interview and was trying to sabotage mine but failed. I was filled with anger, but I stayed calm. I needed to show Keith what Elena was really like. So I said, Keith, you should ask Elena about this. I'm sure she'll have some interesting information for you. What do you mean, Carrie? What does Mom have to do with this? Well, remember how she didn't want me getting the job? I have a feeling she was trying to swap my CV with a fake one to ruin my chances. She probably thought your CV was mine. Keith was initially in denial, but as I explained what happened, he started to get suspicious. It was becoming clear to him that Elena might have been involved. He decided to call her. Mom, come here right now. I need to speak to you. Keith, what's wrong? Why are you shouting? Did you mess with my CV? Answer me truthfully. No. Why would I do that? What CV are you talking about? I don't understand. My CV, Mom, the one I was supposed to take to my interview today. What did you do with it? I didn't do anything to your CV. I didn't even know you had an interview today. Carrie was the one with an interview. At this point, Keith narrowed his eyes and began to suspect her. He asked, Mom, tell me the truth. Did you tamper with Carrie's CV? I already know what you did. There's no point in lying. I don't know what you're talking about. I would never do such a thing. Keith, I said, Elena knew I had an interview. She didn't replace your CV on purpose. She wanted to swap mine and ruin my interview. That's why your CV had my name and gender. Mom, do you have any idea what you've done? You replaced my CV and cost me a good job. I failed the interview because of you. What is wrong with you? It finally dawned on Elena that she had made a big mistake. She started to cry and said, "Keith, listen to me. This was all a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I thought only Carrie had an interview today. I was trying to protect you. Despite my warnings, you still tried to ruin her chances. Why are you so upset about that, Keith? Your wife shouldn't earn more than you. If she does, she'll take control of you and kick me out of your life. I did this for your good. Stop making yourself the victim, Mum. Have you no shame? Carrie didn't cost you the job. You did. You ruined his chance because you couldn't stand seeing me have a better job than him." "Shut up, Carrie. This is all your fault. If you hadn't tried to get a better job than Keith, I wouldn't have had to do this. This mishap is all on you." "If this is all Carrie's fault, Mum, I told her not to go for the interview. I had no choice but to stop her. I never wanted to hurt you, Keith. I just wanted her to get rejected." Keith was very angry at this point. Hearing Elena's nonsense made him even angrier. He had never been this furious with his mum before, finally understanding how cruel and manipulative she could be. "Enough is enough, Mum. We brought you into our house and didn't take a penny from you. This is how you repay us. Have you no shame? You have to understand, Keith. Carrie pushed my buttons and forced me to do these things. She wants me out of your life. That's why she's blaming everything on me. My wife selflessly took you in without complaints. You started all the trouble. For months I ignored her concerns and took your side. Now I see I was wrong. I should have kicked you out sooner." "How can you say that, Keith? You can't just kick out your mom. You don't mean this." "Yes, I meant every word. Starting today, you are never welcome in our house again. We will give you a month's notice. After that, I don't care where you go, but you won't live with us." "No, Keith, you can't do this. Carrie, you've destroyed my life. You're taking my son away? I will never forgive you." "Don't blame me, Elena. You brought this upon yourself. I did not instigate anything. You destroyed your relationship with Keith all by yourself. You must be so happy. This is making you very happy, isn't it? I will not let you go, you witch," Elena shouted as she lunged at me, grabbing my hair and pulling hard at my scalp. Keith intervened, pulling her off me and yelling at her. He was furious, and his shouting made Elena cry uncontrollably. Keith threatened to press charges and kicked her out immediately. Elena didn't argue because she was afraid Keith would actually call the police. She left the house in her car. After Elena left, Keith started to calm down, but once his anger subsided, he burst into tears. The frustration from the interview and the situation with Elena had finally made him break down. Through his tears, he said, "I'm so sorry, Carrie. I should have listened to you. I almost cost you your job because I didn't want to upset my mom. She just showed me how wrong I was about her. She attacked you for God's sake. I don't know how to face you. I'm ashamed." "Don't say that, Keith. This is on Elena. Please don't blame yourself for what happened. I'm not happy about being validated at the expense of your job. I would rather it was me who lost the interview." "No, I'm glad it was me. I was the one at fault. I should have kicked Mom out sooner. Don't worry, Carrie. After today, I won't ever allow Mom into our lives. She is unhinged and a toxic woman. I am done with her." He promised me that Elena would never come near us again. He also said he would contribute more to our household and cut off Elena financially. He realized it was unfair for me to pay most of our bills while he supported someone who hated me. Keith decided he wanted no contact with Elena anymore. Elena did try to get in touch with Keith, mostly to beg for forgiveness. She initially sent me some threatening texts, but after I warned her about calling the police, she backtracked and begged me for forgiveness as well. She knew she was stuck in a deep hole. Thanks to her, she ended up staying at Maxine's place. Maxine, knowing all about her antics, made her get a job to support herself and had no intention of letting her freeload. Maxine got her revenge too. It was only a matter of time before she kicked Elena out after pestering her for too long. Maxine's husband banned Elena from their house and told her never to return. Elena was forced to move to a different state to live with some relatives we barely know. I sent those relatives a nice email about Elena's behavior, which I found through Maxine. It's been over 8 months since the incident. Our families have gotten much closer without Elena's favoritism. Keith has apologized to Maxine for disregarding her feelings, and now they are very close. We hang out regularly. Keith has also enrolled in college to get a master's degree, which will help him get a better job in his field. With my current income, we are not having any trouble with money. Keith has always supported me in chasing my dreams, so it's only fair that I do the same for him. Elena's departure has actually made our lives better, and I hope it stays that way for years to come.